Hello, thank you for joining us to AMZ Away. I have today a special guest. I got Tarik Berrada. Tarik, hello.
Hello, Assaf. Thanks for receiving me.
We prepared something very special today, so I'm very excited about it.
So yeah, today we'll be presenting some PPC practices to avoid, and I will give you a lot of details and content related to it.
Okay, and where are you located globally? Which part of the?
Okay. Yeah, I am located in Paris, in France, but yeah, I'm originally from Morocco, but I'm living in France, and the company is in France, in Paris.
What is the name of the company?
The company is called M19. Yes. So it's AI software for PPC on Amazon.
Oh, sounds sophisticated.
Yeah, a lot of algorithms to optimize and automate your PPC.
So you are automating PPC. You are creating campaigns. You are what type of advertising you're doing on Amazon?
Yeah, exactly. So we are handling all the advertising that is available through the API. So which means sponsored products, sponsored brands, and sponsored display retargeting. So everything gets automated in terms of creation, keyword extraction, competitors extraction, and also bid optimization. So the goal is to have a software that is super powerful, very easy to use by anyone, that hides all the complexity for optimizing the advertising for you, to leave you time to optimize your account and do all the other work outside the PPC.
Okay, so it sounds smart and sophisticated. And you know, I'm coming from the world of the advertising. I remember that we made the event, right? At the time we were competitors. I came with the software automation, you came with software automation. Then, you know, we are chatting up on PPC. So what you prepared for us today? Tell me. Actually, it's in here, right? It's six.
Yeah, exactly. So today I will be presenting some very common mistakes that I saw in the accounts we are managing, and I will try to explain why it's not a good thing to do these mistakes. I will give some examples, and I hope that I will get a lot of questions from Assaf during this presentation as well.
Because sometimes I do these mistakes. Sometimes I do this mistake. By the way, in purpose, okay? And I'm going to tackle you on some of the mistakes that you want to do these mistakes. But indeed, it's a very interesting topic to discuss. So maybe you want to share with us your screen, and I think that you prepared the presentation.
Yeah, so let me share my slides. So can you see them now?
Yeah, looking good, looking good.
Yeah, perfect. So before going into details of what are the common mistakes, I will start by showing some key concepts that we need to cover before. Yes, so some key concepts that we need in order to understand better what are these mistakes. The first one is the second price auction. So first, in the Amazon PPC world, everything is done in real-time auctions, which means that for every search term, before Amazon deciding which product they will be showing on a given search term that a user is typing, there is an auction that is organized real-time, where all competitors, all relevant products and relevant competitors will be participating in this auction. And it's the first price in this auction that will be winning the auction, which means that we'll get the sponsored position. And this first one will be paying the price of the second participant of this auction. So for example, can you see my mouse moving?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So for example, in this auctions, there are 4 participants, you, like the brand you are representing, and 3 other competitors. When your CPC is the highest one, you will win this position for the search term the auction is organized for, but you will pay the second price, which is your closest competitors in terms of bidding. So if you bid, this is just an example. If you bid €8 or dollars, and then the one just before you is bidding $6, you will be paying $6 and not $8. So you win with the first position, but you pay the price of the second position. So this is very important to keep in mind, this second price auction mechanism in Amazon.
I want to mention here something. I think that many sellers that start doing PPC don't really fully understand how the auction system in Amazon is actually working. So they are overbid all the time. I know that we're going to talk about it later in this presentation, but I think this is a very good example to really explain that your maximum bid is not the bid that actually you're paying on. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if I would put here €39, €40, €50, I still end up paying 6 or 6.10 euro and get the first location or the first position in the page. Okay, or it depends where the bid is on. Okay, and I think that many sellers that don't really realize that when they are placing a bid or mentioning a bid, they are not going to pay the full price.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very good example.
Yeah, you are right. It's very important to be clear about that. Yeah, because a lot of people think that the CPC they specify in Seller Central, this is the one they will end up paying. But in fact, it's not this one. It's the second one just behind them. So the more competition there is, the closest the second price will be to them. But we can discuss it at the end. It can be a very good topic, or maybe another.
We can have a webinar on
that. Yeah, exactly. It's a huge topic. So the second key concept is pretty basic. Just we need to make very clear the difference between the three different matching types and the difference between search terms. So there are two things. You have the search term, which is what the user is looking for, and you have the keyword with the match type. The keyword and the match type is what will capture the search term. On Amazon, there are three matching types. You have exact match type, phrase match type, and broad match type. So exact is the most precise one, and broad, as its name is suggesting, is the broadest one. So for example, soccer shoes will be matching, like soccer shoe as a search term, not a keyword. Soccer shoes will be matching soccer shoes in exact matching keyword, will be also matching adult soccer shoes in phrase matching, and soccer shoe search term will be matching soccer shiny shoes in broad matching. So you see here an example of a search term which is soccer shoes that is matching three keywords. So it will be eligible to be displayed in campaigns that have soccer shoes in exact, adult soccer shoes in phrase, and soccer shiny shoes in broad. So this slide is just to emphasize that you have the search term. So this is what the user is looking at, and you have the three matching types, which is how you decide you want to capture this search term, and you have three types. The most precise one is the exact, and the largest one is the broad. And you have like the broad is containing phrase and phrase is containing exact. And it's very important for the common mistakes we will be talking about after.
Well, I also want to mention something here, is that actually also the bidding, it would be exact would be more expensive than the broad one, okay, and then the phrase one. And I know that you're going to talk about it, but I have to mention that the reward that you get when you get the exact type is probably you getting better rewards by the Amazon algorithm. Okay, you get better ranking on the specific keywords. This is why you need to have a combination all of the three, but you want to invest more on the exact because the reward you get more incentives or promotions from Amazon on this specific keywords.
Yeah, exactly, and it's more precise, so you can adjust the bits because you know exactly what is matching in the exact. It's only search terms that are almost exact to the exact keyword. So you can be more precise because you know exactly what is capturing in terms of search terms. So the third concept is the negation of the previous one. So in Amazon, it's possible to stop capturing some search terms. So you can block search terms either with negative exact or negative phrase. So it's the same mechanism as the one I described before, but just reversed. So the negative exact is included in the negative phrase. It's the same, like the same reasoning. So for example, if you are using Nike soccer shoes in exact, negative exact, it will be blocking all Nike soccer shoes search term when you have negative exact Nike soccer shoes. And it will also be blocked if you are having negative phrase Nike shoes. So Nike shoes in negative phrase will be blocking search term like Nike soccer shoes. So this is also very important to keep in mind, because all this match type, you will always need to use them in combination with the negative side of it to make sure that your campaign structure is clear. And the other key concept is Amazon arbitration. So I talked about second price auctions in the Amazon advertising world. In fact, it's a bit more advanced than that. The way Amazon is deciding which impression and which product they display in the sponsored positions. So on our side as Amazon sellers or Amazon software, third-party software, we only can change the CPC. But in fact, it's not only the CPC that matters for Amazon to display the product. You have two other inputs. So the second one outside of the CPC is your ads predicted conversion rate, which is a kind of, it's the relevancy. It's also used for your organic ranking. And you have other factors that we don't know that is Amazon is using as well. So it's the combination of these three that will help Amazon predict what is the revenue and the value of the product if they display it on a given search term, because their goal is in fact, they have two goals. They want to maximize their revenue while displaying an ad. So they want it to get clicked as an ad so as they can make you pay the click. And at the same time, they want this ad to be shown for products that will be both, so as they can get their commission on sale. So they have two goals there. So it's the sponsored click and the sale commission. So that's why they need not only to take into consideration the CPC, but they need also to take into consideration the likelihood that a conversion will be if they display the ad in order to maximize the revenue. So that's why you have these three inputs that Amazon is combining to decide if your product will be displayed or not. So this computation, they do it for every eligible search term and product, for every account that is eligible for the search term the user is typing on Amazon website. And there is an internal arbitration on Amazon side to decide for which account, then which product, then which campaign they will be displaying. And this is what is called the Amazon arbitration, is all this complex ecosystem for Amazon to predict what's the estimated revenue for every one of eligible product and eligible competitors. And internally, they decide which one they will be displaying based on this estimation on their side.
I have to mention one thing that I really like what you mentioned here, that Amazon knows how to take care of Amazon revenue. They are very good at that. You can see it on the stock price, you can see it in their profits, and they are very good in taking care of their own revenue, definitely.
It's I don't have any Amazon stocks, but it's pretty normal. I like what they are doing, because like this is how they are investing on all other areas and topics and logistics and everything. You are right, they are charging money, they are getting money from sellers, but at the same time they are building things that wasn't there before today you can sell in one click, you can get all your stock with crazy logistic and stuff. So it is pretty crazy and cool things from Amazon. So
definitely.
they are charging, but to build good things.
We also enjoy from the other side. We just like to complain, right?
Yeah.
By nature, we are people, we like to complain.
Yeah. So now we can jump directly to the first common mistake I see. The first one is blacklisting bad keywords. So bad keywords can be defined by like any criteria, whatever you want. Usually people, they say that it's a bad keyword because the ACOS is very high on the keyword, or there is a high spend with zero sale on the keyword. So here, can you see all the slide, or our video is hiding a part of the slides?
You can see the slide here.
Okay, perfect. So here I will be describing an experiment to show you how stopping black keywords is not the best thing to do. So you can do it yourself. So you decide what is a bad keyword. You can say, okay, a bad keyword, for example, is keywords on which my targeted ACOS is twice higher. So if your target ACOS, for example, is 20% or 30%, you can say that all keywords on a given period of time that has more than 60% ACOS are bad. It can be like this, that you define it, or whatever. You just fix a metric and you define what is a bad keyword on it. The most important thing is in this experiment is to separate. First, you choose the campaigns you want to do the experiments on. The more data you have, the better it will be. It can be one campaign or more, or different campaigns. Then you split into two periods, period 1 and period 2. So for example, period 1, you can take 2 months, and period 2 is the next following 2 months. So on the first period, you define and you extract the bad keywords. So in the first 2 months, you say, okay, I will look at data at keyword level. So you compute ACOS per keyword. When the ACOS is higher than your threshold, you flag it as bad. Then you will take all these keywords that were flagged as bad, and you go on the second period. And on this second period, that you will be looking for the flagged keywords as bad and delete them just into data. You don't need to stop them into campaigns, because it's we are here to do the experiment. We will be working only on past data. You consider 4 months of past data. On the 2 first months, you flag the bad keywords. On the second period, you go check these keywords, you remove them, and then you compute your performance metrics. For example, ACOS. You compute your performance metrics with and without these bad keywords. But the most important thing is you define the bad keywords in a different period than the period on which you do the simulation. And then I can share with you, I did this experiment on one of the accounts we are managing. It doesn't make sense to make it over a lot of accounts, because it should be account based, so as it can get significant results. So on this account, you can see that on period 1, we took 5 weeks, and period 2, 5 weeks. We flagged the bad keywords on period 1. Then we went on period 2 and we computed the ACOS with bad keywords and without bad keywords. So you can see that in this second period simulation, we see that with bad keywords, the ACOS is 30.3 with 6,400 in sales. And with removing bad keywords, in fact, the ACOS was almost the same. It's 30.6, but with more sales, with 6,900 in sales. So the difference is almost 600 euros in sales, which is almost 10% extra sales, with overall the same performance. So here, what this experiment is showing is when you check even the keywords that you think are bad in the past, if you do good management at keyword level, you can keep them and have the same performance with higher sales, which is better for you, because it's always better to sell more with the same profitability than less, because of the impact on your organic.
And this is what I wanted to ask, because even bad keywords, which are above your ECOS threshold or ECOS goal, are maybe more significant for you because they have a lot of search volume when on your organic sales and the way they are ranked organically. So there are specific bad keywords, and I know the people that doesn't really like to keywords that are spending too much. Sometimes these keywords are very relevant also to your organic sales. And
exactly.
Maybe you have some idea how to measure that within this testing that you've done.
Yeah. So one thing that here I should say is when there is a bad keyword, like during a given period of time, I'm not saying that you should keep it this way, because you need to decrease the bids. If a keyword is not performing well, the bids should be decreased, and sometimes you should decrease them a lot because it's not profitable, and it's almost equivalent to stopping this keyword or blacklisting it. So my point is, all keywords have an optimal CPC at which they are profitable, and this profitability can be always cutting traffic for these keywords. If the bid is very low, you won't get any traffic on them anyways. So yes, keywords, all, even the because completely irrelevant keywords, normally even Amazon is stopping them, because also they don't want to display your product on irrelevant search term. Otherwise, for the user experience, it's not good for Amazon themselves. So if you have bad keywords in terms of performance, decrease the bids, sometimes decrease it a lot to find the right spot, because there are some cheap sales that you can get even on keywords that seems not performing well.
And I think that one thing that you need to add when you do this calculation, if keyword is bad or not, is really also to look on the search volume of these specific keywords, not not on your impressions, but really look for the data that's saying if it has a high search volume or slow search volume. Because if it's very relevant to your product and you have high search volume, maybe you still want to compete on this specific keyword with your competitors. And then the best thing to do is really reducing the bids and still finding the optimal way for these specific keywords.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah, it's very important to to know what are your important keywords from your long tail. And yeah, Assaf, you are right. If there is high volume on this keyword, maybe it's worth it to invest a bit more and give it a chance. Just try to find the right CPC for it, knowing that if the performance is not good, maybe it's also because of high competition there, but with high potential reward if you. So then the second common mistake is abusing phrase and broad matching type. So as here, it's another example to show how a search term can be matching 3 different matching types keywords. So pink tall vase can be matching in the search term pink tall vase can be matching in the exact campaign with pink tall vase exact keyword, can be matching the phrase campaign with tall vase, and can be matching the broad campaign vase. So if you have 3 campaigns with these keywords, the search term pink tall vase will be eligible for 3 of your campaign. And what will happen is Amazon will end up just paying or putting your campaign with the highest bid, and you will always end up paying the highest bid. So you are telling Amazon, hey, decide for me, and Amazon to decide to increase the chances, they will just push the campaign with the highest bid. Here's what happened really when you look at it with the second price mechanism. So the first scenario is when you have a structure, when you don't have this overlapping matching types. So if you have the exact search term that is captured, the exact keyword that is captured in your search term, and on the phrase and broad, you are negating it as exact. it means that your second competitor, if your bid is €3, like the example we saw, and your competitor is at 2.25, you will end up paying 2.25. But if you have inexact with €3 and you have in phrase with 2.5, the search term I just gave you is matching these two. So these two campaigns are eligible. And if you end up paying the second price, you will end up paying this phrase second price, which is 2.5, which is higher than your competitor, which is 2.25. So the more overlapping you have, the more campaigns that you will get eligible, and the highest you will end up paying the second price in Amazon auctions. So this example is showing why, when you have an exact, the best thing to do is you negate it in all other campaigns and in all other keywords that might capture it. So for example here,
in terms of strategy, okay, you go on, and I do have questions to ask you.
Yeah, so for example here, if you have a campaign, an Amazon campaign with an exact pink tall vase, and you have a campaign with tall vase in phrase, you just need to add as negative exact. In the phrase campaign, you add pink tall vase in negative exact. In this way, all the pink tall vase exact will be only captured in the exact campaign and not in the phrase. So when you have an exact, it needs to be negated in all other areas when it can be captured. And when you have a phrase, also it needs to be negated as negative phrase in all other campaigns when it can be captured, either automatic campaign or broad campaigns. Yeah, so you wanted to add something, Assaf?
The next slide, yeah. My question was here that in terms of strategy in building up your campaign structure, if you want to put the same specific search term or keywords, you should build up 3 campaigns, exact, phrase, and broad, and specific with the specific search term, and then identify different bids between the 3 campaigns.
Yeah, so you can either do it at campaign level or at group level. So it's up to you. I prefer to do it at group level. So I can have an exact ad group where I put exact keywords, a phrase ad group where I put phrase keywords, and in this phrase ad group, I will put negative exact, all the keywords that I have in the exact ad group. And they have a broad ad group where I will be putting as negative exact all exact keywords, and as negative phrase all phrase keywords. So everything gets separated and clean. So you can either do it with ad groups, an exact ad group, and phrase ad group, a broad ad group, or you do it with campaign, whatever you want.
So you start up with bidding your exact campaign. Let's say that you have 50 different keywords over there, and then you adding another ad group for phrase with them same specific keywords, but you also put them also on negative.
Exact, yes. Negative exact.
And then you have also another ad group broad, and you take the same 50 keywords into broad, and then also put there in a negative.
Yeah, but if you are to do it manually, it will be painful to put in place, and the most painful thing is to maintain. So if I have to do it manually, I will only use exact combined with auto campaign. So I will use exact as soon as I have data on some search term, and the auto campaign I will put negative exact for all the keywords I extracted. Otherwise, it will be a lot of campaigns to maintain and a lot of bids to change. So if you want to do it manually, I recommend to do it this way, because it's because you need to find the trade-off between something which is precise and clear and easy to maintain. Of course, the perfect way to do it is to combine the 3 of them, but it's hard to maintain. So manually, I would recommend to use only exact with auto campaign, where I put in negative the exact keywords.
Okay, good. Thank you. Very good.
Then the third common mistake is stopping costly campaigns. So I saw that some sellers are just looking at the ACOS over time, and when during a period the ACOS is not good, during 1 week, 2 or 3 or whatever, they just stop the campaign. So for me here, the mistake is considering that a campaign is bad, but in fact, what is bad is the configuration of the campaign. It's just the CPC. The key takeaway from this common mistake is that any campaign can be modified and improved so as to hit and be profitable. So here I have an example of a regular campaign where I'm plotting the average bid and the ACOS. You can see that normally a campaign, its ACOS is not stable, which is normal. The more data you have, the more stable it can be. So here we can see that the ACOS at the beginning was high at 45%, and then during until this fifth week, it stayed high, which is higher than 35, but just playing and adjusting bits, you see that overall the bids, the CPCs were going down, and then you can see that the ACOS went to the level of profitability the clients wanted. So here it's just an example to show a campaign with a high ACOS. By adjusting the bids and CPCs, you can take it to a profitability zone. And if you did stop it because the ACOS was at higher than 40%, you would miss all the sales that you can get through this campaign.
Yeah, I think
here
I want to add, go back.
Yeah.
I think that many sellers do not know that they need the Amazon algorithm to have time to generate the data and getting and indexing the specific keywords into the campaigns and start really delivering results. Okay, in one day you cannot just come up with a very low ACOS and very high sales. Okay, it takes time because it's computers, it's systems to optimize everything. And I totally agree here on week 5 when you do the optimization, you have enough data that you gathered to make the right decisions. Because after the first week and the second weeks, you cannot get really good decisions based on 1 week or 2 weeks behavior. You really need to have time before really taking the decisions about what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. And I will just show this last example related to it is, for example, here we can see that, again, as I've said, at the beginning, the bid starts high for exploration, then you adjust them to take your campaign in the right level of ACOS you want. But you see that even with an optimized campaign, you can have some periods because of competition going high or demand going low or whatever. There are a lot of reasons that can impact the performance of a campaign. ACOS can sometimes fly and go very high. So if we consider this campaign, the ACOS went from around less than 30% to 160% in week 37. So with this spike, if you were stopping costly campaigns, if you were checking during this period of the spike, you would stop this campaign, which is completely fine. And you can see that after this spike, the bids were decreased a lot here, so as to take the campaign again in a profitability zone. And when it's in profitability zone, the bids can go up. And you can see here in this example that after the spike, it went down again. So my point is, make sure that when you have some spikes, that it's significant data. And the best thing to do when you have spike is not to stop the campaign, is to find the search term where the performance is not good and adjust the CPCs on them in order to leave it run and to take it back to the right ACOS you want. So here it's just another example with 2 spikes, but The other common mistake is combining bid adjustment. This can be very dangerous when we don't know exactly what it's doing. So today in Seller Central, you have different options. One of these options is changing your bidding strategy. You can tell Amazon, hey, you can adjust dynamically up and down my bids, which means that if when you specify a CPC, for example, $1, you can tell Amazon, you can double it or divide it by 2 or 3 when you think that the estimated conversion rate from you makes sense to increase or decrease the bid. And there is a second option, which also kind of playing with your bid and your CPCs, where you can adjust bids by placement. You can also tell Amazon, hey, on some positions, for example, top of search or product page or whatever, I allow you to increase the bids in order to increase my chances to get the impressions in this placement. So the extreme case will be specifying dynamic up and down and considering the maximum of bids adjustment by placement on top of search at 900%. This is the maximum you can do. And I can tell you that some people are doing it because they think that top of search is the best. Yes, it has good performance, but it doesn't mean that this is the only thing you should use and you should do this type of modulations. And the reason why, you can see it here. So if your default bid, your bid is at $2, if you use dynamic bidding up and down, Amazon can take it up to €4. If you use also bid adjustment for placement, Amazon can take it up to €20 for the click for top of search. And if you combine them, you combine the two, it can go up to €40 for the click when you combine top of search plus dynamic bidding. If imagine that you have a competitor that is using the same, misusing this bid adjustments, he might end up also in some area of bid which is very high because he's combining also some bids, or just because he's crazy and he's putting high bids. And because of the second price, you might end up paying, for example, €28 because your bid combination combining take you up to 40. So are you ready to pay this 38? I guess no for a click.
I think a very good example that you've given here, because people really doesn't know how to use this, let's say, tactic of increasing the bids, let Amazon decide. But from my experience, I do know that in some other tactics that, again, you're running a very low bids, okay, on specific keywords, let's say long tail keywords, you're giving the opportunity to have very low bids. You can give up to 200, 300%, not on the top of the search, but in other places to give these opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's exactly. You have some strategies. If the default bid is very low, as Assaf mentioned, for some specific, for long tail, for example, or whatever, you can use some high adjustment because the default is low. So even adjusting with the high adjustment, you end up paying something which is reasonable and okay. So it's important also to keep in mind what is your default and do the math to see with this adjustment, when you combine them with your default, what is the last price you might end up paying. So the fifth common mistake is trying to get first position with insane bids, as I've mentioned it in the beginning. So he has also a lot of things to say about it. So here's just another way of presenting what we saw before in the arbitration on Amazon platform. So here is a scheme that is showing how Amazon is deciding. First, it started at the search term. So Amazon needs to find how relevant a search term is to your product. So it started with the product relevancy to your query, which is linked to the product ranking. And this is basically a kind of prediction of how is the conversion rate on a given search term for your given product. So it's just some math Amazon is doing to say, hey, if I display this product for this search term, there are X chances that it will convert, and this is the ranking, like it's just the mathematical way of showing it. Then they compute their profitability as we discussed before. Like they combine the CPC, how much you are willing to pay. They combine like the relevancy and the organic rank, and they mix all this to select what is which ad they want to display.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good way to show it. And this is another good example how to show that.
Yeah. So here is the an example of if you have the strategy of you want to have the first position and you put some crazy bids to make sure that you will get the first position. Some people know how the second price auction is working, and they say, okay, since I'm not paying the first price, I'm paying the second price. Let me put something very high so as I can block this position and get it. And they don't care because at the end, they will be just paying the second price. Maybe this will work for you now because you are the only one doing this strategy, even if I don't think that it's the case. So you can put 40 euro. If there is no competitor with the same strategy, you end up paying 4 or 3 euros. And this might be fine for you. But if you have another competitor with the same strategy in mind, with let me block the first positions with very high bids, I will end up paying the second price, which is very low. I don't care. If another guy is doing it, you will be paying its high bid, and he will be paying your high bids, depending on who is the first and who is the second. So it will be costly for both of you. And I don't think that this is something you want to be paying at the end. So it's not, if you are doing it and it's not costly for you today, for me, you should stop because it might be costly for you in the future if there's another guy that is starting to do the same strategy. So the last common mistake is sponsoring the same ASIN in multiple campaigns. So here it's always, again, the same logic behind it. When you have an ASIN that you are targeting on the same keyword from different campaigns, your different campaigns will be eligible for the impression, and you will just end up paying the highest price. So for example, if your bid on campaign 2 is 8 euro for the same product, and your bid on campaign 1 is 6 euro, and the competition is at 4, so you see that here you are participating with for the same product on the same keyword with 2 different campaigns, and you will end up paying the highest. So here the takeaway is make sure that if you have campaigns running for a given product on a given keyword, it should be only in one campaign. It should not be in different campaigns. So yeah, either
but that is what you actually mentioned. But when you mention here, you're talking about 2 exact campaigns which are the same, or you're talking about exact, for example, in phrase, and then what you mentioned before, that you put the keyword in negative, now they will not compete.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, you have 2 things. Either you compete because of the matching types or just because of duplication. Because the more complex the structure is, the less visibility you will get, and the fewer and the less you will know what is included in every campaign. So if, for example, if you are using only exact and auto, my recommendation here is to make sure that every one of the ASINs you are promoting is at most in one exact campaign. That you, it's not, because what happens usually is people, they do their PPC once a week, 2 weeks, or a month, and sometimes they forget that an ASIN is already in an exact campaign with its keywords. So they create another exact campaign for the same ASIN, maybe with other keywords that are better optimized with better PPCs, or better CPCs. So, but at the end, they end up with 2 exact campaigns for the same ASIN. And this is the common mistake. This is the problem. You will just end up.
I have an example to ask you, okay? I have an example about, let's say that I have one product with 2 variations, okay? And for each variation, I created a separate campaign, okay? One exact and use the same keywords, okay? And they are actually don't compete with each other, because on one hand they are competing with each other, but if somebody is clicking, it doesn't increase really the bids, because
exactly.
it's two different
You are completely
variations.
right.
It's two variation. Again, it's the same keywords, it's the same product with two different colors, and each of one of the campaign is getting different behavior. So
yeah, you are completely right. This is why I'm talking about. I was using the word ASIN and not product and not parent ASIN. So it makes a lot of sense. And by the way, I do recommend to sponsor different variations so as to increase your chances to occupy the space with your different variations. Because anyways, at the end, the user end up clicking once. If you are showing the two variation on a page, you will occupy the space, and at the end you will end up paying only one. So when it's variations, yes, you can have different campaigns on the same search term. This is completely fine, but it should not be the same variation in different campaigns. So what you are describing is the right strategy to have with variations, but the common mistake I'm referring to is within the same variation, using it multiple times in multiple campaigns.
So the right strategy would be, if I have one product, two variation, let's say I want to have two exact campaigns, one for each variation. I want to have another two phrase campaign with a negative on all the keywords that are on the exact, and I want to have another two product campaigns with negative on also on the exact phrases, and then you get a full structure.
Exactly.
Optimize, not say optimize, but full opportunities. You buying yourself the opportunities to be on the sponsor ads.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. And I would even add, if you are using bulk uploads to make your life easier, or a tool that is helping you push operations, I would even put one variation per ad group. It will be easier for you to read than per campaign. So you might group in one campaign, for example, one exact campaign. And in this exact campaign, each variation has its dedicated exact ad group. Mm-hmm. And for every one of this exact variation ad group, you put its own keywords there. It's a good way to structure and to keep your campaigns clear and easily readable. So let me just finish with some screenshots from our M19 tool, where we are doing this, as we said in the beginning, PPC automation in a very simple manner that is hiding a lot of complexity. So there is a dashboard, the first screenshot here, that is showing your sales data and also your global sales, to make sure that your sponsored is not cannibalizing your organic, to follow your sponsored and your organic, and also to follow the
for all marketplaces together.
Yes, for all marketplaces and all countries, everything aggregated in one place.
Oh, good.
Then you have a PPC view where you have a card per strategy. So you define your PPC strategies just in 2 clicks. You say, I want to have this product in a given strategy, and here is the ACOS target, and it is one card, and the tool will do all the work on your behalf. We have also a search term view, also where you can check quickly by 1 click search term results. So for every one of your search term, for every one of your product, you can have a clear view of the performance. What is the spend, what are the sales, etc. It is very helpful to optimize your listings and improve your titles, for example. And we have marketplace view country. So you have for every country its performance, either globally in terms of all sales compared to sponsored, or within PPC where you have ACOS, etc.
So it's a way to measure your organic sales.
Exactly.
This is one thing that is very missing. It's missing in Amazon. It's really understanding the percentage of your organic sales from your entire sales. What you recommend, or what you suggest would be a good percentage between PPC and organic sales?
Yeah, so this for me depends on the product's life cycle. For a new product, it should be higher than 60-70%. That in a product that you are just launching, because if it's not the case, it means that you are not using PPC at its max power. It means that you can boost it even more, even if it might seem very aggressive, but this is how you can get ranking very quickly. So if it's a new product, in my opinion, the sponsored sales should be at least 50% of your total revenue. When it's an established and profitable product or end of life, it should be lower than 30%.
But I did it again. When you're doing a launch of a new product, you do expect probably getting 80 to 90% of your sales coming from PPC.
Yeah.
If we define it in the first year, I would say that after 6 or 7 months, then you can see 60-70% coming from PPC. Again, you're doing it correct and aggressive enough to really get good ranking for the specific keywords and terms.
And the metric I really like to look at the most is even different than this sponsored share. This is very useful. I look at it, but what I find useful is what we call on our dashboards total ACOS, TACOS, which is how much you invest divided by the total sales. It's a kind of ACOS where instead of taking into consideration sponsored sales, you use total sales on the product or on the group of products. This gives you a better view on how much you invest globally, and you take into consideration organic and sponsored, and you can compare this total ACOS to your break-even and to your margins. And you should always stay lower than your break-even in order to not lose money on the product or on the group of products. So you can get aggressive and at the same time controlling your profits.
Yeah, I think this is it's a better measurement than just the ACOS, because sellers stick to let's measure by ACOS, but what they actually need to do, it's measure the entire, let's call it in a business way, advertising spend over the total sales, and then compare month to month and to see if you are, let's say, increasing your organic sales. So it means that your PPC is performing well.
Definitely, exactly.
Okay.
Definitely. This is the way to do it.
It was very informative. Thank you very much. I think it gave a lot of value and understanding of how actually PPC works, and then what you need to avoid and not actually what you need to do. Probably you need to do the opposite. What do you see the latest trends in PPC and in general in Amazon lately?
Okay. So one of the trends that I saw is the new formats. For example, sponsored brand video, which is a very good format that can be very powerful and profitable. I think it's only available in the US for the moment. So people that are investing in it are getting very good value from it for the moment. So if you want to do it the right way with the right content and right videos. The other thing I can see
video performing is video for ads is very good. It's converting like crazy. It has a very good measurements.
The second thing I see is the shift in competition and demand because of the crisis. So first thing is a lot of brick and mortar categories are moving online, and we are starting to see them on Amazon, which is good, which means that the market is bigger. At the same time, we see some change in competition because of stock issues for many sellers. So just after the crisis, just after the beginning of COVID-19, we saw that competition went very low and PPC was becoming very cheap. And now it's getting more and more expensive to where it was before and even higher. So I think that PPC might become even more expensive and more complex because of competition and because of Amazon developing new formats and new ways of optimizing. So it's not very easy for people to follow the trend.
And you know, I have a question. Have you start preparing for Christmas? I think that Christmas starts tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So Christmas is a very good topic for some of our clients for the moment, because the way they do it is they prepare their PPC strategies and they get prepared before September, October, in order for them to focus on stock inventory and listing optimization on September, October. Then they activate everything on November for the Christmas season. So yes, there definitely need to be some preparation starting from now on the PPC side, in order to be free for the rest of the work on September, October.
Yeah, because the goal is having the stock available in late September. So for the Christmas, for the holiday period, and you start need to organizing your listing optimization. You need to work on your PPC now and to build your strategy and to test it right now. So you just have just click on the button to start operating that once Christmas is arriving. Now, I know that you prepared a surprise for us. What is the surprise?
So yeah, so we are offering a 50% discount for people who are watching this video. So we have a dedicated link for this discount that Assaf will share with you. Right. So it's a 50% on the first month, and there is no commitment. So you can stop the solution whenever you want if it doesn't suit you. I don't think it will happen, but you will have the choice to do it anyways. And yes, so if you register in the coming week, on the link shared, you have 50% discount on your first month.
What type of customers do you work with? What size of customers? If somebody want to approach you, what is your instruction?
Yes. So we have mainly a lot of seven digit sellers, but we have also smaller sellers that are spending between $500 and $2,000 a month. So since our solution is machine learning based, it needs some data. So if you are not spending more than $500 a month, our solution might not be a very good fit unless there is huge potential and you are not spending because you are capping it. But usually it's not. Yeah, we saw some in the past some cases like this. But yeah, so the more data you have, the more powerful our tool will be, and our recommendation is at least 500 spend a month.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, Tarik, I really appreciate for having the time with me. Again, thank you for this informative presentation. I'm sure that many people will use it and use this or not use the tactics that they recommended. And I'm looking forward to meeting in the next event or something like that once there will be events.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you a lot.
Okay, Tarik, thanks.